We've had upsets. We've had blowouts. We've had everything in between, I would say, this week, week 2 of the 2025 college football season. Matt Bruning, Austin Nace here from CampusToCanton.com to give you all the info that you need on the day right after the stinger. All right, guys. Welcome into College Fantasy Tonight, brought to you by CampusCanton.com. The bookend on the day here after the tailgate and the litany of games here today. Matt, we're going to get right into it because we have a lot of games on the sheet here that we're going to at least discuss briefly. And Matt, this feels like a week. I've got 8 games written down as still ongoing that we'll probably at least mention at some point during the show here when they end. So we'll get right into this. I think the big story here today is that South Florida upset over Florida, their second ranked win in a row here for them. And I think they're probably in the driver's seat for the G5 playoff spot if things keep continuing to go their way. For fantasy purposes in this game, a lower scoring one, but some names that we're paying attention to in there. DJ Lagway, another modest performance, 23 for 33 for 222 yards, a touchdown and an interception out of him. Jaden Baugh, old reliable on the ground again, 18 carries, 93 yards. Eugene Wilson, 7 catches, 60 yards and a touchdown, was a little more involved this week. And Vernell Brown was surprisingly involved as well. They had him back there doing some punt return type stuff. And obviously, he broke year 1-0 with today's stat line in a couple of different categories there. So the notable performances, I think, there from Florida, even though they only scored 16 points. And for South Florida, Byron Brown, I mean, he was everything for this team on the day, 23 for 36, 263 yards, had a passing touchdown, 17 carries for 66 yards as well. And then really the only other big contributor on the day was Keyshawn Singleton, who had 2 catches for 75 yards and a very long touchdown on a bit of a broken play where Byron Brown scrambled around, found him downfield. That kind of propelled them late in this one back into it.
Yeah, I mean, first off, let's give a massive shout out to Byron Brown and head coach Alex Golesh, who I believe is still calling the offense. We talked about that being a good hire for USF back. Mox used to be on here, obviously extremely knowledgeable about coaching staffs and everything. We talked about, coming from that Tennessee tree where the offense wasn't quite as gimmicky as Josh Heupel has kind of had it. And we talked about, Alex Golesh going there could be very interesting. As you mentioned, now the second ranked win for them in a row, beat a Boise State team that was in the playoffs last year and a Florida team that a lot of people thought could be competing in the SEC for one of those spots in this year's playoff because of their schedule. Such a great win. I got a chance to watch most of this game. I felt like for the most part, it was a very equal game. Maybe you gave a little bit of an edge to USF, but it was really fun to watch them drive down the field at the end of the game. And then kind of once they got into the red zone, I think there was like a minute left. So you kind of knew they were just going to kind of play that out and try and kick that game-winning field goal. A great game to watch. I think this is just a cap of that was capping off what's been another great week of college football just in general, and watching another big team go down is John, which I know we're going to get to. John Mateer is having a game.
Let's stay on topic, Matthew. Let's stay on topic. We'll get there.
Go ahead. Yeah, great game for USF and Byron Brown.
A game that I don't think anybody expected to be as close as it was that Clemson game. 27-16 Clemson was the final score. I didn't really note any of the Troy performances. We just don't really care. We'll just be honest up front here. For Clemson, obviously a disappointing day for, I would say, most of the squad. No Antonio Williams was ruled out this morning, I think, officially, but it had kind of been, doubtful all week. Cade Klubnik in this one, 18 for 24 for 196 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Adam Randall, real slow start. Again, looked like, this was just an embarrassing experiment. Did end up with 112 yards and a touchdown in this one. Had a couple of catches for about 23 receiving yards as well. Bryant Wesco, 7 for 118 and 2. And TJ Moore, a lot of people were asking, I don't know what's going on with him. Didn't seem like he was out there. Didn't hear anything about an injury. 1 catch for 1 yard in this one.
Yeah.
So odd there. This game was thrown off a little bit by a very long weather delay. That an hour at least, I think it seemed like it was a pretty significant one. My daughter and I had time to walk to the park, play on the playground, and walk back to our house, and it just fired back up after we got back. So it was pretty significant there.
Yeah. There's been a few today. Them and I think South Carolina I think is just kicked off recently or not too long ago because of that thing as well. Like they had a pretty lengthy delay as well. Look, Troy, we've known, has had a very good defense, specifically against G5 teams. I hate that I saw some Clemson fans giving the weather delay as a reason why their team didn't look that good. That's to me a crap excuse because Troy came out there firing and was up, I believe, at least 10-0 for a decent part of that game going into the second quarter. Clemson did turn it on, but again, I think this just points to, I talked about it last week, talked about it on Back to Debbie with you and Mike this past week as well. When Cade Klubnik plays good defenses, he is not that good of a quarterback. Everybody, I'm just going to say it. I don't even care that we're 2 weeks in. A lot of people crapped on me for when I said last year that Cade Klubnik was still not good just because he put up some good points against Eastern, Western, South, Texas A&M, or whatever these crap schools that he was playing in the Citadel. And now, again, we've seen him play another good
How's the Citadel get roped into that? Poor Citadel.
But here we go again, him playing a good team, 18 for 24 for 196 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's overrated. He's a bum. I'm just going to say it. I don't care. He's not that good. Get out of here with that nonsense that he's going to be a first-round pick and he's this good quarterback. I'm looking at you, Chris Moxley. I hope you're listening to this. Cade Klubnik just ain't it, and I think that's been proven at this point.
I mean, the good news for him is that there's a lot of runway here for him to bounce back this season.
Yeah.
But
I guess it can't get worse, right?
I mean, as of today, I can't see any NFL team actually seriously considering him a first-round draft.
No.
So
well. Who was it? Someone had him in the first round in one of their mock drafts. But again, I think that's just people who go.
A decent amount of people did. He was real productive last year, and he's at Clemson. And I think,
well, the 5-star, right? We've talked about that. The 5-star matters. It does to a lot of people who probably aren't paying that close to college football. They see 5-star kid had the year that he had last year. It's fair. I get that part of it. But I think if you've really watched him over his career, you can see that he's just not. He's not as an NFL starting level quarterback, I think is a fair way to put it.
I think it matters a lot not a lot. I think it matters to NFL teams on a certain level as well. I forget. I want to say it was the Eagles had put out some of their draft room clips this offseason. I think at one point, I forget who they were discussing, and I don't even remember if it was someone they ended up taking or not, but they were like, this kid was like a former 5-star, as kind of like when they were like, this is what he can do, former 5, there's, I guess, some perceived built-in upside there if somebody was a 5-star at one point. So probably don't need to belabor that point anymore. But yeah, Ohio State, Matt, I think they did what they were supposed to today. They covered, right? Yeah, 60-something point spread. They covered.
Yeah. 70-0. I'm going to be honest. I didn't watch a ton of this game. I kind of thought that they would beat Grambling pretty easily, so I did not see much. I saw a couple of throws that Julian Sayin made, specifically the touchdown to Carnell Tate, which was very nice. I mean, obviously, Jeremiah Smith goes out there and dominates. What I do like, and so I'm not going to read too much into this just yet because, again, it was against Grambling State, and I kind of want to go back and watch it. But I love the fact that Bo Jackson led the team in carries, had 108 yards and a touchdown, but statistically looks like the best running back on the day. James Peoples, again, a little bit disappointing out of the three of them, but I want to go back and watch that. I do have it recorded. It'll probably be a game I go watch tomorrow or Monday, but I just want to see that because, we talked about that, right? Me and you, obviously, we do a lot of the recruiting stuff here for Campus to Canton now. Bo Jackson was one of our favorite running backs in that class, and I'd mentioned, I think you were kind of on board with that too, as a guy who might be able to surprise a little bit in that room just because of the difference of him between him and James Peoples. I didn't expect Donaldson to be as involved as he has been early, but it was nice to see Bo Jackson out there, and again, at least statistically being the most productive running back on the day.
And I don't think there's a lot else there to really take away from that game. Penn State, FIU, Penn State 34-0. Another nothing burger, I think, for us, but we did just throw it on here. I thought Drew Aller was pretty disappointing in this one, 19 for 33 for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Again, it's one of these days you get to the end of it and you're like, oh, you didn't have a bad day. I think if you were watching all of Drew Aller's games, I think you walk away with a not as great of a opinion of him. Maybe he gets to the pros and he's in somewhat of a less gimmicky offense and he's got some players around him that can make things happen, and he'll look better. I don't know how you can spend a first round pick on that dude based on what we've seen so far out of him. Running game wise, Katron Allen busted a 70-yard run late, 16 for 144 and 1 for him. Singleton on the day, 13 for 76 and a touchdown. Then the receivers, nobody had a huge day. Devontae Ross had 3 for 61 and a touchdown. I did think it was mildly notable that Luke Reynolds actually did lead the tight end room in receiving and targets today, 7 for 58. Obviously, last week the talk was, is it Andrew Rappelier? How involved will Reynolds be? And I think we have 2 data points, and now we know nothing after 2 weeks in terms of what that's going to look like moving forward.
Yeah, real quick, if you're watching live, again, apologies if you see me live reacting to stuff. Was not expecting that third down stop. I think Allard just kind of is what he is now, which is really disappointing because I think he had so much promise coming out of high school and kind of looked like, again, I know we never really compared him to Josh Allen, but there were those comparisons out there. But I thought Allard could be like a very special quarterback around one guy. Which I think is one that you talked about a lot. And I don't disagree because I think he is closer to that kind of rusher, right, as Big Ben more than Josh Allen. He doesn't have that kind of burst and long speed that Josh Allen does. We just haven't seen anything out of Allard at this point. Realistically, and if I remember correctly, I think it was Ohio. He had that beautiful throw in the back of the end zone for his first touchdown. It was oh, wow, he is going to be that guy. And then it's been nothing since then. It really sucks. And I'm going to be honest, I still think I put a lot of that blame on Franklin and the coaching staff that they've not been able to realize any of this kid's potential. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to ask you a question here because we've talked about it. How worried are we starting to get about Nick Singleton? I mean, it's always been very boom or bust, but man, it's starting to be, in my opinion, more bust than boom with Nick. And that's a scary thing for me because we've always talked about, hey, he's a much better athlete than he really is as a true running back. And the difference between, I've always said, as a runner, he reminds me a lot in a way of Saquon Barkley. It's a lot of people give Barkley this credit of being this great running back, but he's more of just this really good athlete. I always thought Barkley kind of didn't have his vision, but he was really, really good as a receiver. Singleton doesn't have that. So I'm very concerned. I'm starting to get more and more concerned, I guess I should say, of what Singleton's outlook is going into the NFL.
Yeah, I don't want to have a 20-minute Singleton discussion, but I think you could.
Turn into C2C Live on Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll talk about it there. Perfect. Yeah. We'll also talk about Sunbelt Billy's late game clock management, by the way. So I was going to bring that up, but I didn't know if that was, we're trying to get through a ton of games on here. Yeah. Singleton, I think his receiving reminds me a lot of Travis Etienne.
That's fair. Yeah.
They should not have 2 kids with the same exact name, essentially.
Yeah, Trevor and Travis.
You have to play different positions if that's the case. Travis Etienne, when he was at Clemson, who, ignoring the he gave that quote famously that he's I'm scared when the ball's coming at me or whatever.
Yeah.
Whether I can catch it or not. But we talked about this all the time, and people kind of made fun of us for it, and it did bear out to a certain extent in the NFL, where all of his receiving stuff was negative ADOT behind the line of scrimmage, nothing really interesting there in terms of usage. And outside of that one wheel route fade that he ran last year that he caught, Singleton, I think he's very, very similar. I don't think I think the receiver stuff is mostly a mirage with him. And so, yeah, it hasn't been terribly efficient. I only watched the first quarter of this one, total honesty, is because FIU looked, there was nothing going on there. There were other games on. I pivoted elsewhere. So maybe I want to go in. I recorded literally every single college football game that was on today, I believe, except for I don't get the CW, so I didn't record Baylor. But the majority of these I did. So I'll watch and see if I can draw any takeaways. But yeah, it's a little concerning at this point.
Yeah. I didn't get a ton of eyes on this either, but I'm the same as you. I think we talked about it last week too.
Keep going.
Oh my God. Sorry. I just lost my complete train of thought. Wow.
All right, Georgia Austin P. Georgia wins 28-6. No real takeaways from this game. Just a real rundown on the statistics while Matt tries to think of what he was going to say. Gunnar Stockton, 26 for 34, 227 pass yards. He had 13 yards on the ground. Nate Frazier had a couple of rush touchdowns. Chauncey Bowens had a couple of rush touchdowns. And this is 2 weeks in a row where Chauncey Bowens was kind of like the second guy. I just think that's slightly notable there, especially if something were to happen to Nate Frazier. Bowens, I believe he's a second year back there, if I remember correctly. He was in last year's freshman class, and he was okay. We were just like, what does he ever play there is, the question for a lot of these Georgia guys. Colby Young led the receiver room, 7 for 76. And Taylor did have 2 catches for 28 yards, which, notable as we're kind of trying to tick some of these guys towards year 1-0 as quick as possible before the non-con gets here. So
I know, Brian. I know. Just wow. If we want to talk about it, just wow.
Did that game just end?
Pretty much. Mississippi State just threw like a 60-yard touchdown bomb to take the lead with like 30 seconds left.
Okay.
Just great route there by the wide receiver to get open right in the middle. Why they're only playing? Well, I guess maybe they were blitzing shape, and I didn't see the beginning part of that. They're just playing man coverage, and the defensive back just get completely roasted. 60-yard bomb. 30 seconds left. Mississippi State just takes the lead.
Let's talk about the game statistically, Matt. Real quick for Mississippi State, Blake Shapen, 279 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. Rushing, nothing, very even split across the board. Bothwell and Booth both had 35 yards rushing on 8 or 9 carries. Receiving wise, Anthony Evans and Brendan Thompson were the 2 guys that I think everyone kind of had highlighted as potentially benefactors of this Jeff Lebby offense, and they were the big guys today. Thompson 6 for 133 and 2, Anthony Evans 9 for 108 and 1. I think if either of those guys are sitting on waivers rest of season, they're guys that I'm very interested in. And then for Arizona State, Sam Levitt under 50% completion percentage today.
Yes.
82 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Jordan Tyson 6 for 68 and 1. The rest of this team, Rayleigh Brown 18 for 110 on the ground. Kanye Udo, 23 for 105 and 1. Kyson Brown only had 2 carries. Not sure what's going on there because he was their lead guy last week. So that's very interesting. I don't know, Matt. I mean, I haven't really watched a lot of this game. You have thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I don't remember Kyson Brown getting hurt, but I've not seen him out there. They've really been using Raleek Brown a lot. As you just mentioned, he had the 18 carries. Brian. Okay, so Brian is saying he did get banged up. Yeah, I don't remember seeing him out there much. I missed probably the first quarter of this game. But I know Mississippi State jumped up early on them, and then I was just kind of tuned in and started watching it. I mean, they've been using, like I said, Raleek a lot, not even just as a runner, but obviously in special teams, he's been doing a good job. I mean, Levis looked bad. I'm just going to be honest. I mean, Mississippi State's been putting a lot of pressure on him. He just threw an interception to end the game. Actually, that was a horrible throw. He has not looked good in this one. He had a couple good rushes that did get called back due to holding and everything, but this has not been a good game for Sam Levitt and Kenny Dillingham. It's pretty much over with. Mississippi State just intercepted it. 21 seconds left on the game. Arizona State, I think, has 2 timeouts left, so game over. Not a great day for Sam Levitt, and not a great game for him either.
All right. I unfortunately didn't tune into that one. I've been busy on this Michigan game, trying to watch that one pretty closely. I mean, some of these games, a lot of real one-sided matchups today. A couple of close, fun ones as well. Just a couple of some of the blowouts here. Texas, San Jose State, 38-7. Texas. Arch did bounce back, 295 yards passing, 4 passing touchdowns, a rush touchdown as well. CJ Baxter led the running back room, 13 for 64 with Wisner out. Parker Livingstone, 4 for 128 and 2. We laughed all offseason. The first touchdown was not broken play, but I'm not exactly sure what was going on with the DBs there, but kind of caught it and just had like 70 yards of open field in front of him. Jack Endries 2 for 52 and a touchdown. I think maybe the notable stuff on the day is the stuff that was not good for Texas. DeAndre Moore 4 for 30, Ryan Wingo 4 for 30, Khalil Lockett 2 for 22. So again, talking year 1-0 stuff. That's interesting. Dalen McCutcheon had another catch for 3 yards. And then for San Jose State, Danny Scudero, 7 catches for 66 yards on like 16 targets again. So that's also encouraging that even in a blowout like this, he's getting his looks.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'll mention on the Texas game, I mean, as you mentioned, Arch bounced back. Was it 4 touchdowns? I think 3 of them came pretty quick in this one. The one thing I'll mention, we've kind of talked about it, and we talked a lot about it, honestly, throughout the offseason, is like, who do we want to lean towards in this Texas wide receiver room? Because they didn't really have the guy. I feel like that's probably been answered, honestly, through 2 weeks. It's Parker Livingstone, which is not who any of us had on our bingo card. It was really kind of coming down between Wingo and Moore. Neither one of them, I mean, both, they all got the same in 4 receptions. But again, Livingstone, as I believe it was Felix who tweeted this out last week, like in key moments in the Ohio State-Texas game, Livingstone was the one that they were drawing up plays for. So, like, I think right now we have to go in that he's the wide receiver one. This is a second big week for Endry, who I think is the second guy in this offense. I do just want to give a shout out to our recruiting team on this. Talked a lot about this, and early on during early signing day, we talked about dang it, what is his name? Jamie French as a guy that we were kind of interested in, but we thought that 2 of these guys would not be year 1 zeros and 1 would. And as we got later into the cycle, we really kind of flipped to it could be Khalil Lockett and Dalen McCutcheon that are more involved in this offense than Jamie French, just because of stuff we had seen, camp reports. This is, I believe, now the second week in a row, Jamie French has been completely blanked. At least we're seeing a little bit of Khalil Lockett and Dalen McCutcheon. So if you guys did kind of go with those guys because you listened to the recruiting team, like, you're probably pretty happy with that, as both those guys are at least making their way toward not being year 1 zeros. Still a long season to go, and they may still end up there, but at least they're getting some playing time.
How bad are Ryan Wingo and DeAndre Moore from I mean, any sort of future beyond this perspective? I mean, Wingo's exciting just because of an athlete, the kind of athlete he is, but we talked about, right? Like, he was just very raw. And again, I feel like I mentioned this. It was either on College Fantasy tonight, last week, or again, when we did Back to Debbie with Mike. I mean, the big thing with Arch is like, Arch seems to be one of those quarterbacks who, like, he's going to go through his reads, and if he's going to make those, oh God, what's the word I'm looking for here? When you throw the ball before it's supposed to get there, why can't I think of the word right now? I'm not gonna lie, I've been drinking a little bit today, guys, which I usually don't do. I know I say that every show, so my mind is a little wandering at this point. Oh my God, anticipation throws. He's not going to make that anticipation throw to a guy like Ryan Wingo, in my opinion, if he doesn't trust that you're going to run the right route. So I think that hurts a guy like Ryan Wingo. And DeAndre Moore wasn't that really refined of a wide receiver either. Like, he played a lot of defensive back as well in high school. So, I mean, to me, I think it says a lot about you if Parker Livingstone is your top wide receiver on the offense, about maybe how good you are or not. Oregon, Oklahoma State. I know, Matt, you wanted to talk a little bit about this one, just the absolute smackdown. I'll let you go through this, but just to underscore, 12 players for Oregon had a carry today and 10 had a reception. That's how much they emptied the bench against Oklahoma State. They could have put up 100, I think, if they had really wanted to.
You know what I have to say about that? Good for you, Dan Lanning, and suck a big bag of you-know-what, Mike Gundy, because he went out there and talked all that trash. And Dan Lanning did exactly what he said he was going to do, and I'm happy for him. I love Dan Lanning. I had a phone call with Felix on Fridays. We were talking about different stuff with college football, and we both talked about our love for Dan Lanning. I actually think Dan Lanning is probably my favorite coach in all of college football. And I just remember talking to him on the phone and saying, like, I hope that Dan Lanning just waxes Oklahoma State, and they did exactly that. I gave up when I saw – I barely watched this game because I knew that it had started. It's like, oh, well, I'll watch it. Like, I was watching other games, and I turned it on. It was like already 35-3, I think. I was like, well, no need to put this game on. We'll go watch this game later because it's being recorded. I'll just watch Oregon play offense. So I'm happy that it is. I will say that I think the fact that they won 69-3, and let me double check this, but I don't believe Austin Novosad got in the game. Did he? I feel pretty safe in saying that if they did not put him in that game, that is a tad bit concerning to me.
Yeah, he did not.
No, he didn't. It was Luke Moga and Brock Thomas. Both got in over Austin Novosad. That is very concerning to me. Again, really, it's probably just me and Colin Decker over here who are still Austin Novosad fans. That's concerning that Novosad did not get into this game.
Yeah, if you're Oklahoma State, I think there's nothing on this team that is interesting or fun or insert whatever positive adjective you want to put in there. I would be shocked if Mike Gundy makes it through the season. This is one of the worst rosters I think I've seen this season at the P4 level. At least with Haas Haney, they could potentially scramble around and do some stuff. And they ran the same offense for him as they were running for Zane Flores. They're totally different players. They're running like heavy RPO type stuff with Zane Flores, who's got cement shoes out there. I don't understand. There was no tweaking of the game plan. I mean, maybe there's no plan B. That's also concerning. And if that's the case, then you need to have 4 quarterbacks who all do the same thing on your team, and it doesn't seem like they do. So it was just really embarrassing if you're an Oklahoma State fan. That game, I think they're any goodwill that Gundy had built up over the years. I think over the past 2 or 3 has been burned, pretty much completely gone. On a brighter note, let's talk this Baylor SMU game. 48-45 Baylor was the final score. This one was a real back and forth. At one point, SMU was up by like 14. Everyone else on the morning show this morning picked Baylor. I'm sitting there saying, I'm the ball knower Austin Nace, and everybody else can, And then Baylor came back, forced overtime, and ended up winning it. Some big statistical performances on both sides. Obviously, as a 48-45 score would indicate. Sawyer Robertson, 440 yards passing and 4 passing touchdowns. Bryson Washington had 31 carries for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. So not the most efficient day of his career, but still getting the job done there. And that volume, really nice to see. Josh Cameron, 9 for 151 and 2, bounces back. Ashton Hawkins, 10 for 145. Kobe Prentice, 4 for 63 and 2. Basically everybody except for Cole Wilson, who I shouted out on the tailgate this morning, blew up for Baylor. For SMU, Kevin Jennings had just shy of 300 yards passing and 3 passing touchdowns. He also added about 16 yards on the ground. TJ Harden had 115 yards and 3 touchdowns rushing. Romello Brinson had 4 catches for 126 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Jalen Cooper, the true freshman, continued on 2 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown. Just big games all around here. I think we all kind of thought this had a explosive potential. I think like the implied team totals were both over 30. Like this was the kind of game we figured and hoped for, and we got it.
Yeah, so I did not get a chance to watch a lot of this. It was on CW where I was at. This was not on. I do have it recorded because I do have CW. I just saw that Michigan State, Boston College is in 2 overtime as well, or double overtime. I did see all of the overtime stuff, though. I actually thought Kevin Jennings looked impressive in that. I saw a couple of his touchdown throws as well. Obviously, Sawyer Robinson had just a massive day today. From SMU side of things, what I'm really starting to realize, I think this offense is a team that I really want to buy in their running backs. I mean, obviously, over the past couple of years, they've been really good. Granted, TJ Harden maybe kind of a step down, I guess. Maybe, I don't know, from UCLA to SMU, but has been very good for them. Obviously, 115 and 3 today. Very good day. And, I mean, good for Ashton Hawkins. That's kind of a blast from the past there, 10 for 145. But, yeah, Josh Cameron, huge day. They're talking about him in the chat. Good for him. And Michael Trigg, I mean, probably, I thought he had a touchdown. My bad. I was going to say 4 for the 8 and touchdown. That's good enough for a tight end. But, yeah, I cannot wait to go back and watch this game. It looks like one of the more fun games of week 2.
Talk about fun games a week, too. It looks like the Oklahoma game is just wrapped. So let's go over there. Michigan, Oklahoma. Oklahoma winners here, 24-13. For Oklahoma, I mean, I think the story of this game is probably John Mateer, who I thought was excellent as someone who's been a fairly strong skeptic of his pro potential. I think I see the vision here tonight. Had 74 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and almost 300 yards passing. And then really other notable performances, Deion Burks, 7 for 101 and 1. Jaron Kanik, the tight end, had another decent week there for them. He's pretty involved. Honestly, like very similar to Bauer Sharp last year. I know it's new OC and everything, but kind of, similar in that vein, undersized guy, 5 for 69 for him as well. And then, everyone else, Chip and Isaiah Stattegna had the big catch, but like really wasn't that involved overall. If we want to talk negative performances, I thought Torrey Blaylock, first off, was supposed to be out for a bunch of weeks. He had 9 carries in this game. And then Jade Knott only 4 carries for 9 yards as well. And if you weren't going to roll out Ott in this game, then I don't know what you're saving him for. So Jade Knott, dream probably dead there for Oklahoma.
I think I think it kind of has been. I don't remember where the rest of our teams sat. I was not super high on this move for Jaden Knott. I've always kind of questioned him as a running back. Really good receiver. Never thought he should have left to begin with. Look, all I'll say on this, on the Oklahoma side of things, I have to apologize for John Mateer and Oklahoma. Look, I did not think Oklahoma was going to be good this year. Sure, it's only 2 weeks in, but they're 2-0. They just beat a ranked Michigan team. I thought it would be. I honestly don't think the game was as close as the score indicates in 24-13. I feel like Oklahoma dominated this game from everything I watched. I missed a little bit of the end of the second half and then Justice Haynes' touchdown run before I was able to get back into watching this. To me, Oklahoma looked like by far the best team in this game. And look, I was skeptical about John Mateer making the move from Washington State to Oklahoma. Granted, Ben Arbuckle, I think, obviously knows how to call an offense with John Mateer. But look, Mateer's looking like a first-round quarterback. That play, you mentioned the big catch to Isaiah Satenga. Him to get out of that pocket and then make that throw on the run over the defender to Isaiah Satenga, that's a big boy throw. That was an NFL throw. John Mateer looked extremely impressive in this game. Again, I have to say, right now, if you're an Oklahoma fan, I will completely say, hey, at least as of right now, I look like I was dead wrong on this. I think John Mateer is going to be really good the rest of the season. Oklahoma could be one of those surprise teams.
If I have time, I don't know if you remember this, Matt. We did a show last year on C2C Live where the prompt was that, and Felix had insisted we do this and take it seriously, that if we had like X amount of NIL dollars, who's like the guys that we would go sign. And he got really mad at me. I want to say this was like maybe last September, October. The season had started by this point. He got really mad at me because I was like, I would pick John Mateer as my quarterback because I wouldn't have to spend as much money on him as some of the other guys. Yeah. But I still think that like he's good enough if you put the right stuff around him that the team could be good. He got really mad at me. He's like, you're not taking this seriously. And I was like, he's like, you're supposed to pick like exciting. I would take Jeremiah Smith. I was like, well, I would take John Mateer. And I'm going to see if I can find that clip because it was just really funny. I was thinking about that today. But I never really thought that I didn't think this experiment would work that well in the SEC. And obviously Michigan is not an SEC school. I understand that. And, I don't even know if we know how good Michigan is yet overall. Maybe we get to the end of the year and they're bad. And this game was an aberration. Who knows? But I thought he looked really, really good tonight. Like he was just kind of like messing with Michigan for a lot of this game. It felt like Michigan was a mouse and Oklahoma was a cat. And they had the mouse cornered, and they were just kind of batting them around all evening. So I thought that was, really, really interesting. We'll see if this translates into some other games here for these two teams.
Aiden Childs rushing touchdown to tie it up 40-40, second overtime, going for the 2-point conversion.
Talking about games that just don't matter, Matthew.
Well, it matters to me. I think both these teams are interesting. I think every team in college football is interesting. The one thing I will say, I'm not reading too much into Bryce Underwood's performance. There's a couple throws that he just barely missed on, overthrowing his wide receivers.
There were no Matthew. Come on,
what a throw by Child.
Stay on target. On target.
Look, I'll catch up. I promise. It's not quick, but what a throw by Aiden Childs to win the game for Michigan State. Across his body too, by the way. What was I saying? Bryce Underwood. Look. Brent Venables in 26 games against true freshman quarterbacks, 21-5, now 22-5 in 27 games. We've said this before. Brent Venables, incredible defensive mind. He knows how to get after freshman quarterbacks. I ain't reading too much out of this. All I will say is, talked about it. I don't remember if people really hated on it, but I said that move for Justice Haynes to Michigan was going to be absolutely incredible. It was the one bright spot of the entire Michigan team today was Justice Haynes. I know most of it came on that one run, but he has been phenomenal through 2 games for Michigan. I think he's got a chance to be the number 1 running back drafted in the draft next year. Incredible running back.
Yeah, he was really, really good. Underwood, I think that obviously 9 for 24, not a great stat line there, just looking at it. But yeah, I don't think there were any bad throws. Obviously a couple of misses. I think the other takeaway here, like the receivers here, I mean, I'd like to see if I can get the all 22 within the next couple of weeks. Sometimes we can get it pretty quick and sometimes we don't on some of these bigger games. I'm just interested if these receivers were open or not. It's kind of how I thought about the Texas game last week too, and I haven't been able to see if we do have access to that yet or not.
Yeah.
Because it didn't see anytime he was Underwood was throwing to somebody, like there were one or two like nice open throws. A lot of them were like him rolling out and kind of getting that corner, whoever, to kind of to bite a little bit on the run and finding guys behind them. Like that was kind of the open throws that he had all night. Nothing else was really that open for him overall. I mean, and here's just the group of players that he was throwing to. Michigan players that had a reception tonight: Donovan McCulley, Channing Goodwin. I actually don't know who Channing Goodwin is.
I don't either.
As somebody who I know some. I mean, obviously you can't know everybody, but I don't know who that is. Samaj Morgan, Zach Marshall, and Justice Haynes. Now, Marlon Klein was I don't know if he was actually rolled out or not, but really didn't play in this one. They kept showing him on the sidelines, an ankle injury, and he was kind of the main target for him last week. So I'm sure that hurt a little bit, but I mean, that's what he's throwing to a converted QB to wide receiver, a dude we've never heard of, and then a failed wide receiver recruit in Samaj Morgan. I mean, it's not a great group that they're rolling out there.
No, yeah. And look, the one thing, again, I'll say, because I did obviously watch a lot of that game. Look, I think that Underwood honestly looked really good. He just missed a couple guys, and I mean just missed him. There's a couple guys that he just barely overthrew. If he connects on those, maybe Michigan is more in that game, and it looks better overall. I'm not taking anything away from this outside of Bryce Underwood continues to be advertised as a very, very good quarterback. Really quick, you say this game doesn't matter. You have it on the sheet as a game we're going to talk about when it wraps up. It just wrapped up.
I had every game that was currently being played except for some real small game that I didn't include.
Of all the games on there, we probably didn't need to talk Kansas State Army, but
I mean, Army won that game, right? That's the only reason I noted it on there.
Oh, did they? I honestly didn't look. My boy Childs just won the game for.
Yeah, Army ended up winning 24-21. Yeah, there's nothing really statistically to talk about there. Avery Johnson hasn't developed at all.
And Jared, I'm gonna be honest with you. There ain't much to talk about in that game either. Look, here's the thing. I haven't watched a ton of it. I don't think that Nico's looked horrible. And I just looked at his stats. He's 21-27. That's not bad. It's just UCLA's not a good team. I don't think anybody expected them to be. Again, I'm gonna say again. I don't know who half these guys are that he's throwing the ball to. Y'all, I think you and Mike made fun of me. Quasi Gilmore? I don't know who that is. I know you guys made fun of me for last week for not knowing who that is. I still don't know who that is.
Mikey Matthews?
I do know who Mikey. I do know who Mikey Matthews is, but I don't know who Quasi Gilmore is. I honestly don't know who. I don't know who Jack Peterson is. Titus McCoy, Ati Malala. I know who Jalen Berger is. Didn't realize Jalen Berger was still in college football. Javian Thomas, Anthony Fry is the second. I don't know. I'm not taking anything away. I mean, look, we weren't high on Nico anyway. So, but I'm going to be honest with you, Jared. I haven't watched a ton of this game. So,
I thought UCLA would be a little more prolific, and maybe it'll take them a few weeks to get to coalesce. We'll say, but I did think that there was a chance by the end of the year that this could be a team that was a sneaky offense on a week-to-week basis. I'm still not necessarily retracting that thought, but it's not great that they've looked outclassed pretty much across the board every single game so far. I mean, only 2 in, but and I know Utah. I even didn't want to take away that much from the Utah game because Utah can do that to you. And when we picked the Big 12, did we both pick Utah?
No, I think I picked Arizona. I picked
State.
Arizona State to repeat. Yeah, but I like the Utah call, especially because of Dampier being there. I thought that was a great move for Devin Dampier.
Yeah, they'll do that to you. So I wasn't going to take away too much, but obviously not a great performance here. We'll see if they can build this moving forward. Let's see here. I think some of these other games are still going on. Did you want to talk Michigan State, Boston College? Did that end officially?
It just ended, yeah. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I didn't get a chance to watch. It's a game that I have recorded because I do like Dylan Lonergan, and obviously I'm a big fan of Aiden Child, so I want to see I just saw that it went into double overtime, so I clicked on it. I mean, they were trading scores back and forth into double overtime. The way to end the game, Aiden Childs runs in for a touchdown, and then again, it's a beautiful play design, in my opinion, by Jonathan Smith. He has Aiden Childs roll out to the right side, and it looked like the tight end ran completely across the whole other way and was wide open in the corner. AHL just drops it in.
A bunch of
perfectly
teams
right
ran
to the
that
corner.
this week, or
I
a
mean,
variant of it. I guess it's becoming
Yeah.
a very popular play down by the goal line to do
Yeah.
that. Basically, send
If-
everybody one way and the tight end
Yeah.
kind of across or the opposite direction.
So I didn't get a chance to rewatch it, but if what I'm remembering correctly when I was watching it, looked like the tight end was kind of almost like in line, ready to block. And then as Aiden Charles everybody, he just kind of ran to the back of the end zone and then broke off to the outside and ran to the corner. I mean, there was a linebacker that was close to him, but it wasn't. But I mean, Aiden Charles just dropped it in the bucket, running the opposite way. They end up going away with a win again. It's not a game that I was watching the whole time, but I definitely want to go back and watch because, again, say what you want. I don't think Dylan Lonergan's going to be like an NFL quarterback, but it's 2 games in a row that he's looked good in this offense. And a lot of that was just because that was Bill O'Brien's guy. Going to Alabama, he brought him over here. I think that's going to work out because that's kind of the quarterback that works out in his offense.
Mocked and ridiculed for my Lewis Bond takes this offseason. That's all I want to say. He did have 11 catches for 90 yards in this one. Just other notable performances this one. You mentioned Lonergan, 390 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. Turbo Richards had 13 for 55 and 1 on the ground and caught 7 passes for 66 yards and another touchdown. I don't know. I mean, Jeremiah Franklin had a receiving touchdown. Reed Harris did have a receiving touchdown, but didn't do a ton today. On the opposite side of things, Nick Marsh, 5 for 68 and 2. Childs, 231 and 4 touchdowns and another rushing touchdown as well. And leading rusher was Mekhi Frazier again. So notable there.
Real quick on Dylan Lonergan. This is from my boy Chris Moxley, who you know I love you. So if you're listening to this, I hope you hear this and just know again that I love you. Mocked and ridiculed in the chat for liking Dylan Lonergan and not liking Ty Simpson. Pretty sure Dylan Lonergan's having a better year than Ty Simpson right now. Just saying. And Alabama put up, his whole 200 yards passing. Bravo, Ty Simpson against Austin. Who do they play?
I don't even know if he made it to halftime.
I don't care. ULM. 17. Oh, I mean, he did go 17-17, so I'll give him that 226 yards passing. Congratulations.
Yeah, I think he got yanked before halftime. I think all the Jeremy Bernard did.
I'd yank him at halftime too. But again, at this point, I might as well just lean into being the Ty Simpson villain, and that's okay. Texas A&M. We want to talk the Aggies?
Yeah, we'll talk A&M. I know there's a lot to talk about here. Overall, Marcel Reed left this game with an injury, and I think that's going to be something to monitor this week. I haven't looked for an update yet, but I haven't seen anything. Reed on the day, though, 220 yards passing and 3 touchdowns, 66 yards rushing and another touchdown. Le'Veon Moss, leading rusher, 10 for 68 and 1. Mario Craver, 5 for 114 and 1. And Concepcion, 6 for 73 and 2. I mean, I think those are going to be the 2 guys that they really lean on all year. Terry Bussey did have a deep touchdown as well on the day. And then for Utah State, I mean, overmatched game. You can't expect too much here, but I did think, again, Miles Davis was a guy that I targeted pretty heavily on waivers, and I had mentioned last week was a guy that I was going after as a 5% of your budget kind of guy. And he had, again, led them in touches and 10 carries for 50 yards and then 3 catches for 9 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the nice thing about him is he gets real consistent touch volume, and you can play him at wide receiver now on Fantrax. So.
Yeah, obviously, I haven't seen an update yet either on Marcel Reed. I believe it happened somewhere in the third quarter that he ended up, or it was
second
fourth
half,
quarter.
Yeah. I don't remember if it was third or fourth quarter, but yeah, I think it was fourth.
It might have been the fourth. I think it was the end of the third or early fourth quarter that he ended up getting hurt. What I wanted to say is I was watching that part of it, and I believe Mario Craver's touchdown came from Miles O'Neal. We kind of talked about this last week. I mean, KC Concepcion was involved last week as well, but in my opinion, it really looks like Mario Craver is the leader in this offense, so kind of the guy that I want. And I was trying to pull it up, and yeah, his touchdown came from Miles O'Neal. It was a 72-yard touchdown pass, actually, to Mario Craver from Miles O'Neal in the fourth quarter. So I think he's kind of the guy you want to own, but KC has been pretty good so far, too, as well, through 2 games. But I think this is the week they get Notre Dame here in week 3. Again, I mentioned before, like, this was the game I really wanted to watch for Texas A&M to see what they're really about. Hopefully Marcel Reed will be healthy because he's, again, as I just, apologize for my John Mateer not trusting him. I mean, Marcel Reed's looked better than he did last year. I still don't know that I trust him to be a great quarterback, but he's looked at least somewhat decent through 2 games.
there hasn't been a lot of resistance yet, and there hasn't been a lot of pass rush yet. I think that's going to be like the telling thing for him when we see him go against a legitimate front seven that give him some problems. So
that's what we were saying last week. Like that game against Notre Dame is going to be the big one to kind of really see what Texas A&M is, because that'll be their first real test.
And I just Elko did say after the game that he should be fine for next week. So we'll see. Texas Tech, Kent State. Texas Tech was like 50-0 at halftime, essentially, more or less. Like this game was out of control pretty quickly. Spread around the ball for the receivers. Baron Morton had 258 yards before he left. I think even before the half. Jacoby Williams, Cameron Dickey split the rock again. I don't know a lot of takeaways here from this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I did not watch this at all. So, I'll be honest. With it being 62-14, I don't know that it's going to be on my list of things that or it's not going to be high up on my list to go back and watch at this point. It looks like a pretty bad beating there for Tech.
Last three games that I have on the sheet here to talk about were three fun ones, Matt. NC State beat Virginia 35-31. This was kind of a back and forther, big plays galore. For Virginia, Chandler Morris, 257 yards passing and a touchdown. Jamari Taylor, strong start to the season for him, continues 17 for 150 and 3 on the ground. And then at receiver, what was it? Cam Ross led them last week, and they were quite, is he kind of the guy there? Seems like maybe in any given week it could be any of their top three. Jamal Edrine, 6 for 68, Terrell Harris, 7 for 52, and Ross had 5 for 40. So going to be hard to peg down the leading receiver there on any given week. For NC State, CJ Bailey, 200 yards passing and a touchdown, and 44 yards rushing and 2 more rushing touchdowns. Dalen Smothers, big day, 140 yards and 2 touchdowns for him. And then receiving wise, you spread that thing out. Terrell Anderson, 3 for 44, and Justin Jolie, 4 for 41 were kind of the notables, I guess.
Yeah, my main takeaway from this is like CJ Bailey is an interesting roller coaster ride every single week. I think he's like right on the verge of maybe breaking out and becoming something special, but I think Landry was down. Very fun player to watch. Like he's intrigued. I think he's so close to kind of figuring this out.
Missouri-Kansas border war. Mizzou ends up winning this one. Close game. They scored, real late to kind of, make the score look a little, further apart than it was. I am not ready to do this, to issue apologies on Bo Prabula yet, but I have started a draft in my notes app for the day that might need to occur, because he had another really strong day, 334 yards passing and 3 touchdowns, and had some rushing production as well. Ahmad Hardy and Jamal Roberts both productive on the day. Hardy 25, 112 and 1. Jamal Roberts had a 70-yard touchdown at the end to take him to 13 carries, 143 yards and a touchdown. Kevin Coleman, we asked last week, is he not actually the guy? 10 for 126 and 1, definitely was the guy this week. And then Brett Norfleet, 776 and 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, Bo Prabula, I guess maybe I'm with you. He's looked good through 2 games. I don't know that I view Kansas's defense as very strong. I know this was one of the games that I previewed for the tailgate, and my main thing was talking about actually was the other side of the ball. Kansas's offense has been really good to start off the season. Wasn't quite as good in this one against Missouri. I don't know that Missouri's really been tested yet. Kind of what we were just saying about Marcel Reed and Texas A&M. I'm going to wait to see what Missouri looks like against some tougher competition here as they get into their schedule. But a big win for them. And look, what I will say is he's looked at least better than I thought he was going to be. We talked about maybe Sam Horn, or at least I mentioned, if will true freshman Matt Zollers get some run because Bo Prabula has been that bad. He's done enough to hold that off and then some.
For Kansas, just Jalen Daniels, 223 yards passing and a couple of touchdowns there. Daniel Highshaw, not a great day for him. And then Deshaun Hanika was the leading receiver for Kansas. I've never heard of him before. 6 for 74 and 2. Seems like a bit of a roulette there for them this year as well. So if you were, who's the dude that broke out for them week 1? I don't remember who that was. Pickett. And then Emmanuel Henderson. I don't know that you're rolling any of those guys out there on any given week. And then the last one here, Matt, Texas State UTSA. Texas State wins this 43-36. Big performances from their big names. Brad Jackson, 286 yards passing and a touchdown, another 2 rushing touchdowns. Lincoln Pear, 71 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Bo Sparks continues his uber ultra efficient year, 5 catches, 155 yards and a touchdown. And then Chris Dawn, 2 for 109 there for them. On the opposite side, Luke McCown, 219 yards passing, another 55 on the ground, a couple of passing touchdowns. Robert Henry Jr., man, like if you're competing and by some like whatever miracle the bad team in your league has Robert Henry Jr., like I would be willing to offer a decent chunk for him because in 2 straight games now, he's been really, really good. 17 for 159 and 2, and then another 4 catches for 21 yards and a receiving touchdown. And then receiving wise, no real big performances here. Devin McEwen, 5 for 83. David Amador, 2 for 29. DJ Allen sighting though, Matthew. Never wrong.
I know that was when you said that, I got all excited. Here's the one thing I will say: like Robert Henry, it's 2 games in a row. 2 games in a row, he's had 3 touchdowns. Last week, 3 rushing touchdowns against Texas A&M. Like
kept him in that game for a little while.
I benched him in that game because I did not think he was going to do good. I would have won a couple matchups had I played him. Yeah, massive week for him. And I'll be honest with you, I think I have him in the league of record. Guys, my team's trash. Come a-calling. I'm happy to move him. Pretty sure my team is trash.
I've got first crack at you here. I've got you on a show. We're gonna bang out a deal right after this discussion.
I'm not against moving him, but yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I typically don't look at my scores until Sunday, so I don't know if I'm actually winning this one. I know I lost in week one of the league of record, but yeah, Henry's been amazing so far to start off this season.
Just a couple other rapid fire games that were going on, and I think are probably either wrapped up or close to wrapping up while we were doing this show, Matt. USC wins 59-20 over Georgia Southern. Strong performances all around. Longstreet did get in this game because Mayava threw for 412 yards and 4 touchdowns. On the ground, Wayman Jordan, big day, 16 for 167 and 1. And then on the receiving end of things, Mekhi Lemon, 4 for 158 and 2. Jacoby Lane, ever steady, 3 for 91 and 1 out of him. And then a couple other guys chipped in with the catch here or there. Tanook Hines did have 3 for 21. Again, if we're keeping track of year 1-0 stuff, I think he is a top 300 recruit. I think, if I remember correctly. So, be thinking about that. But yeah, I mean, overall, a really dominating performance there for them. On the other side, just Camden Brown, the leading receiver, had a couple of receiving touchdowns. J.C. French, a couple of passing touchdowns. Nothing to write home about on the other side of things here.
Oh, it was the Debbie Debate Listener League, by the way. I do not have him in League of Record, but he put up 40 points for me today.
At least week 1 put up. I think I'm a contender based on that. We'll see about week 2, but
yeah. Just Cam Cook had a great day as well. Over 30 fantasy points.
I've got him on the sheet, Matthew. I put the big performances that we're not talking about down at the bottom there for you. I put Cam Cook on there.
I saw it, and I appreciate that. 29 for 195 and 2. I tweeted it out, made my heart happy a little bit. But yeah, I forgot who else. There was someone else that you just mentioned I wanted to talk about. But yeah, Mekhi Lemon, has looked phenomenal. Obviously through 2 weeks as well. I think we talked about it a little bit on Back to Debbie with Mike. Could be honestly in that discussion, and I know he was your wide receiver 1 in that class. Could easily be in the discussion as the wide receiver 1. In this draft class. He's been, again, phenomenal to start off the season.
Man, I just looked at the scores in that league. I lost with a very, very high score, so that's a bummer. I'll hit you up on Robert Henry. Any other games on here that we didn't hit yet? South Carolina, where are we at in that one? They were losing. It's now 30-3. So South Carolina's back on, has bounced back here. But not a great game so far from Lenora Sellers and company there. I think those are really the only games that we still had on the list to talk about. I did mention, we had some strong performances here today that we didn't touch on. Matt mentioned Cam Cook and running back. The other ones, Damon Claiborne. Dude, these coaches, man, I think we should just have a guillotine and just kill these people in the public square because he's not going to play. Almost 200 yards and 3 touchdowns out of him. Trip Trianum. I through 3 quarters, he had 163 yards and 2 touchdowns and another receiving touchdown against Western Kentucky. Emmett Johnson, again, through almost the third quarter, had 3 touchdowns, 140 yards rushing. At quarterback, Taylor Green, continued his hot start to the season. 151 yards rushing and a touchdown, and another 239 yards passing and 4 passing touchdowns. Caden Velkamp had 309 yards and 5 passing touchdowns. And then Elijah Surratt, just under 100 yards and 3 receiving touchdowns. And Deuce Robinson, 5 for 173 and 2, including a real nice one-handed snag on a bomb in the end zone. So I think, if we're talking about some other big performances here today, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention any of those.
Yeah, I mean, I was where I was at. A few of the people, either I can't remember if they know or the people that work with them are big Arkansas fans. We're talking about the fact that Taylor Green, I believe, or that offense had scored like 3 to 4 touchdowns in a matter of like 2 to 3 minutes. I guess there was a lot of turnovers. Was not watching that game, but I know at one point I looked up, it was like 28 to something. So good for Taylor Green. We talked about him last week having a good game. The only other one I'm watching. UC Davis is actually driving right now on Washington, but they're up 4-0. Jonah Coleman with 2 touchdowns already. And I do have the UCLA UNLV game on. UCLA just kicked a field goal. But, yeah, it's great days for some of those players. Deuce Robinson's good to see him have a massive breakout day. Obviously, I already mentioned Mekhi Lemon, Cam Cook, and, Caden Velkamp with a pretty big day today as well, as you mentioned.
I'm just clicking through leagues, and I have so many leagues where I'm going to lose by like 2 points.
Oh, I know. Same.
That never feels good.
I just looked at one of mine, and I'm losing by like 5, and I benched Cam Cook when I shouldn't have. I don't remember. I played Bryce Underwood for some reason, which I don't understand why. I'm going to lose by 10 in that one. But
such is life. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of College Fantasy Tonight. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Thanks to you that did the double, tuned in with us this morning for the tailgate and for College Fantasy Tonight. This will be uploaded on the podcast feed, and we'll be back next week with another episode of this. Until then, guys, good night and good luck.